welcome back to my story time. So I just want to let you know what happened earlier this week. So I tried filming this video last week to be ahead of the curve, and what actually happened was it uploaded to my iCloud. My phone has a certain amount of storage and my iCloud has a certain amount of storage, and when I filmed another video after that, which is like 4 hours of Monopoly footage so that I could have some content for another video I was planning, all of my storage got used. So I am currently in the midst of either upgrading to iCloud storage or thinking about getting a new phone. And when I say thinking, I mean thinking, because we're going through a crisis right now. Should I be spending those Apple dollars? You know what I mean? You really gotta like take stock of life. So as it stands right now, I'm just gonna refilm this video and we're just gonna get into it, right? Story time. Okay, so today's story time comes at a time when I was moving to the province. Okay, let's just clear up some stuff because I just want to be clear about this. It was my first time moving cross country. I had never done it before. It's only 5 hours from where I used to live, but it was still a big undertaking, and I didn't understand that at the time. I was very young, I was very disorganized, but this is what happened. So this is about the time that I moved and I didn't know where I was gonna stay until I was literally in the car moving to this province. What happened was I was working at this job and I honestly had reached my rope. It's not that the job was bad. The job was like one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life. It was super easy. I had years of experience. It was amazing, but I didn't love it. I just didn't. There's something about being super comfortable to me that makes me weirded out. Like I don't like it. So I thought, hey, this is the perfect time for me to uproot my life and move 5 hours away from my friends and family. I ended up giving my job that I had at the time 6 months notice. I knew for 6 whole months that I was going to move provinces. Okay, this is how it started. I had taken stock of my life up until that moment, and I realized that I have not traveled by myself as a grown adult over the age of 18 since I turned 18. It like dawned on me. And I know for some people, like especially the new gen, it's like, yeah, you get a paycheck, you go traveling. That wasn't my experience. I grew up very differently. I had to work since I was like 18. I never really thought I had like enough money. Like I was always spending it out partying or paying rent or like trying to enlist a hobby that I didn't finish or anything like that. Everything was always over travel. And now I try not to take that shit for granted anymore because I would love to travel more. So at that time, I thought, perfect, let me just travel throughout the country that I live in. It'll be super cheap, it'll be effective, and if I like where I travel, why don't I just end up considering moving? So that's what happened. I traveled to this separate place 5 hours from my home, and I legit kid you not, I went for, I think it was like a weekend, maybe 3 or 4 days to visit this place, and I ended up loving it. I visited at the worst possible time in the dead of winter, and it was all disgusting on the streets. There was like snow, there was hail, there was rain. It was just disgusting weather, but my host for my Airbnb was amazing. The time that I spent, the places that they recommended, walking the streets, talking to some random people, I realized, why don't I just move to this place? It's not that far from where I live. It's actually cheaper than where I live. And why not? What's stopping me? I'm a grown adult. I can manage this. Or so I thought. So I ended up giving my 6 months notice to my job shortly after I got back, and I was like, okay, I'm going to move. So I'm telling all my friends, and then my one friend, I told her and she was like, perfect, excellent. You know what? I can drive you. Just to let you know, this girl right here did not at that time have a driver's license, and it's not because I didn't want to drive a car. I would still get behind the wheel of a car. If there are any cops watching this, I would never get behind the wheel of a car without a valid driver's license. But you know, I would if I could, just saying. But she offered, and I was like, that's one less thing I have to do, so great. So it's coming up to the day that I'm supposed to be moving, right? So I pack all my stuff. I was living with this woman at the time. I told her about it, gave her my notice, and I'm like packing all my stuff, and this is like month. I've had 5 months to prepare and done like basically nothing. I'm like, whatever, I've stacked some money. If I really need to, I'll like just wing it. It'll be fine. Actually, no, that's a lie. I actually did go visit with the intention of securing a place before. I think it was like 2 months before I was supposed to be moving. And I convinced my friend who was driving me down to come with me. So we ended up going for a weekend, and it was super fun. We went out, we had some fun. And this is around July. If anyone didn't know, there are some places with an official moving day. So we went around the official moving day to see what was available, and I did find a few places. However, I did not follow up on any of these places for whatever reason. I completely dropped the ball on that. I was like, I can't visit again. This is the only time that I'm gonna see it. I don't get to see everything that I wanna see. I just wanna enjoy this place a little bit while I'm here. And I think we ended up seeing like maybe a handful of 2 or 3, maybe a handful of places, and then we were off back to where I originally lived, where I would no longer be living. So what happened was, the month that we were supposed to leave, I gave my notice to this woman, did all this stuff, and then like a week before we were supposed to leave, it like dawned on me, like, you don't have a place to live, girl. And I was thinking about that, kind of like it's like a thought that runs through your mind, and it's like, I could give this attention, or I could go back to what I was doing, because I was basically working up until the day that I left. I like made sure that I packed all my stuff. I think I packed like maybe 2 days before I started packing. I didn't have a lot of stuff at the time. I wasn't carrying like a whole bunch of stuff with me. I'm kind of like grab and go, so it was like whatever I can carry is whatever I'm bringing. And then I booked an Airbnb for the night before I left, because I just wanted a nice place by the beach for my friends to say bye to me. A few of them came, they did say bye to me. The person I was seeing at the time came to say bye to me. He was like super sad that I left. He was actually the only one who realistically like actually made me cry. He said such heartfelt stuff, but that's when you know like it's really over, you know what I mean, when your relationship ends, when one of you leaves and the other one is not going. Unless you like work out a long distance relationship, which I personally don't do, you know it's over. So he completely made me cry. We'd been seeing each other for like 6 or 7 months, and it was done. I did all of that. My friend came to see me, he took me out, we had a few drinks, said our goodbyes, and then the next day my friend came to pick me up with the car to move me across country, and I didn't have a place to live. So if you guys can see by my personality, I do not like to be stuck in little confined spaces. I find it very jarring to be stuck in a small place for a long span of time. This includes trains, planes, and automobiles, like the movie, but I don't like it. So we were spending 5 hours in a car together, and I was looking for places to live. I'm not kidding you. I used every inch of data that I had, and I searched Kijiji, Craigslist, Airbnb a few times. What else? Everything I could think of. I like went through listings. I was contacting people as we were driving, and I was talking to maybe 5 or 6 people along this 5-hour car ride. Like, do you have a place? Do you have a place? This is like the first of the month, right? So if anybody has a place, I need it right now. We are landing on the first of the month, and I need a place to live, or else I'm gonna be sleeping in a car or an Airbnb. Like, really, I can't be that dramatic. I moved in 2018. There was lots of stuff to do. I contacted a bunch of people. This one lady thankfully answered. She was super sweet, super nice, and she was very accommodating, and she was like, yep, for sure, you need it for today, you can come, you can just give me cash, you can stay, it's like a month to month, don't worry about leases, anything like that. Oh my god, I have never been so grateful for a woman in my life, and her story is actually really amazing. She did art for a number of years. She's like an actual like painter type of artist. Ooh, the sun changed. Ooh, it's a little bit cloudy outside, guys. But anyways, yeah, she was a painter, an artist, and she was very distinguished, very good in the community. She was an alumni of her school, and she always went back to like teach a class or really just see what was up and coming in the art world. She was like a little older. Her husband had died 10 years ago. I think she was like in her 70s, and he had died in his 60s, unfortunately. But she was just super nice and accommodating, and it turns out that she just managed this stuff. Like, she loved it when students would come, and she would have a house for them, and it's a very like accepting area that we moved into. It's very much a student city. Everybody is just super nice. So that's what happened. I ended up thankfully getting this woman to let me give her cash same day, and I had a place to stay, guys, within 5 hours. It only takes 5 hours sometimes. Please don't do this. My advice with something like that is please do everything in advance. Like, I took for granted at that time that I was like, yeah, I'm carefree, but like looking back at that, I would never do that again. I need to know where I'm staying, what's happening, like, you know what I mean? Or at least consult with someone, tell someone you need help. They're like, if you can get your friends, your family, anyone to look into this for you, to offer you a place to stay, blah, blah, blah. Where I was going, there was no one I already knew. I wanted to go where nobody knew my name. I wanted to not be somebody new, because I am who I am, but I wanted to explore and to live, and I ended up doing it a little bit reckless, but it ended up working out. So I guess the moral of the story is know yourself. And then also prepare for the worst, because I was prepared for anything that could generally happen. I just didn't put forth the effort at the time to make it a little better. So anyways, that's the end of my story time. Thank you so much for listening to me tell this story, because every time I tell it, I get a little bit more insight into young Shanice. If you like this video, make sure you like, you subscribe, you leave a comment. Tell me about your most reckless situation, or at least something where it's like, oh, that was just young me, something that you would never do again. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.